Hello everyone, this is Tanya from Professor Tanya Speaks, and today we're going to be looking at another informative speech. This one again was done by Raj, who you met in this video where you saw her before and after speech introduction. Well, in today's video we'll be seeing her after version of her informative speech, which talks about the impact of COVID-19 on us. And it's an entire speech with visuals. So let's join Raj and see what she has to say.
455 days. That is how long we have been in isolation due to COVID-19 restrictions. 455 days. What does that number even look like? Well, to put things into perspective, this is a single P. This one individual P represents a single day that we've spent in isolation. And all of this right here is 455 days that we've spent in isolation due to the COVID restrictions. Now, if you think about it, that is a long time to be in isolation for. I mean, even prisoners are subjected to what? No more than 30 days, because anything more than that is considered abusive. So, what about us? Have we not been abused? As a society, we have been isolated for 455 days. I mean, the more I stay cooped up, the more I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I'm sure that many of you are feeling the exact same way. Because we are all in this together, all going through the same difficulties, and all experiencing the same feelings. You know, in the beginning, it was fine. We were asked to stay home, stay safe, and it was great. It was a vacation. But slowly, this sweet dream turned into a nightmare, and now we're stuck in our own little hell loop, being forced to relive the same day over and over and over. And this eventually takes a toll on a person. As you can see, not only have I experienced it, I've also seen it, because back in the fall of 2020, I conducted a research study on the effects of COVID restrictions and the psychological health of adults for my community-based research course. The findings were gruesome. You see, these COVID restrictions are not only hurting us psychologically, but they're actually altering the anatomy of the brain. Which is why today I'm going to be talking to you about how the COVID restrictions are hurting us and forcing us to live a life of social isolation, loneliness, and depression. Now, the first way the COVID restrictions have impacted us is mentally. Studies have shown that social isolation actually causes adverse psychological effects and changes within the anatomy of our brain. The literal structure of our brain is altered, causing a cognitive decline. Let's take a closer look at how so. Looking at the brain, you can see the three main areas that are affected by social isolation. You can see the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and the hippocampus. The prefrontal cortex, which is also found here, is responsible for executive functioning. The hippocampus, right here, is responsible for learning and memory, and your amygdala, which is your primitive brain, its primary role is processing memory, decision-making, and emotional response. It's said that people who have been isolated have also been found to have a reduced brain volume in their prefrontal cortex, have a smaller than normal hippocampi, and their amygdala is also smaller. So in general, our brain shrinks. Now that I've told you how the COVID restrictions have affected us mentally, let me tell you the second way the COVID restrictions have hurt us, which is emotionally, leading to loneliness. Webster's dictionary defines loneliness as feeling empty, alone, and unwanted. You see, humans are social beings, and we are happier and better when connected to others. Right now, this feeling of loneliness is universal, and these feelings affect us similarly to that of social isolation, since the two are so closely related. When you're socially isolated, you automatically start feeling lonely because you have no one to talk to, you have no one to support you, and you have no one to keep you safe. Similar results were found in the study that I had conducted. So far, I've told you how the COVID restrictions have affected us mentally. They've impacted us by shrinking our brains. How the COVID restrictions have impacted us emotionally, causing loneliness. Now, let's talk about how the COVID restrictions have hurt us psychologically by causing depression. Depression is defined as a change in mood or emotional state. And many of us are experiencing this all over the world. When I say many of us, I mean that 1 in 3 adults in today's population are depressed or anxious due to the COVID restrictions and its repercussions. The current population of the world is a bit over 7.8 billion. That is with a B. And at the moment, a third of that would be 2.6 billion. I mean, I could put that into perspective for you, again, using the P's, but I don't have that many P's, so I have a pie chart instead, in which you can see how many people are affected by depression and how many are not. If you've ever felt hopeless, powerless, or helpless, or if you've noticed a change in your weight, your sleep, or your energy, know that it could be due to depression. Depression, loneliness, and isolation is what we got in return for staying compliant, staying home, and staying safe. So in conclusion, I've just talked to you about the mental impact, how the social isolation makes the brain shrink, the emotional response of loneliness, and the psychological change that leads to depression, which leaves a person fighting to feel alive. This is why it's like being in prison. The solitude keeps us trapped, the loneliness continues to build, eventually leading to depression and leaving us incapable of finding a way out. You could say that these restrictions are hurting us, almost squishing our brains and leaving us the shell of a person that we once were.
Thank you for watching, and I know that in addition to seeing a well-structured speech, Raj also gave you some food for thought about the impact of COVID-19. So, until I see you in the next video, bye for now.